Hi, everybody. Welcome to the board exam strategy session. It's a series of 3 classes that we will be conducting from Meritnation Studio for you all to help you prepare for your examinations. So this class is for you all for social science, social studies, right? So welcome you all, first of all, for the live session. And it's wonderful to have in you all in the session and be in touch with you so I can share my tips with you. And of course, I can hear your problems if you have any and try to solve them for you. So in today's session, basically, we will be discussing about the board exam strategy, how to go about the board exams. I know social science is a kind of a subject you all are a little scared about, but don't worry, just take a chill pill, and I'm sure you all will be able to crack this board exam quite well. Okay, so coming to your board exams, they are starting from the 6th of March, yes, and your social science exam date is on the 22nd of March. So all the best for that. And well, the syllabus and weightage has been changed a little this time. So you do not have essay 1 or essay 2 kind of a division this time, but of course, the whole syllabus is what you have to learn and attempt in your exams. So basically, the social science exam will be of 80 marks. 20 marks will be for history. Civics will be having for 20 marks. Geography for 20 as well. And economics for 20 marks. So first of all, let me discuss with you the subjects, of course, the sub-subjects and the chapters that are there. Rise of nationalism is important. The nationalist movement is important. Nationalism in India. I'm sure you all are a little scared about the nationalist movement in Indochina, but just go through your book and you will be able to and revise properly. And I'm sure you must have made some, key points to revise your for your revision sessions, of course. So don't worry on that. I'm sure you'll be able to crack the easy exams. It's not going to be that tough. Coming to civics, you have 7 chapters in total. 1 chapter is for kept separately for your projects and all, and I'm sure you must have submitted that and scored well in that project as well. Coming to geography, again, we have 7 chapters. In economics as well, we have 5 chapters, and some of the important topics from the whole syllabus, be it history, civics, geography, or economics, I have already shared a video from a Meritnation page on YouTube. You can all have a look at that, and we'll be sharing the link of that video, the exam tips and how to prepare for that, and also the important topics that will be shared with you all after we finish the session. So you can have a look at that as well. Now, let's come to the question paper pattern. All right, so here we discussed about what is in your syllabus. I gave you the link also. Now you can go and have a look at the important topics, which you can prepare and revise thoroughly, and I'm sure you'll be able to crack the exam. So coming to the question paper pattern, of course, we all know the exam will be of 3 hours. Maximum marks would be of 80. Okay, now total questions that you will be given to attempt is 28 in number, right? So first to 7th, question number 1 to 7 will be very short answer types, right? So 1 marker questions from 1 to 7, in which you have to generally write a 1-liner answer. For 8, from 8 to 18 will be 3 marker questions, around 80 words, right? So do not exceed that. Do not waste your time writing long answers for this 3 markers from 8 to 18. So stick to the word limit. Try to answer your points in, key, make key points while you're answering. So that will be a good strategy to attempt the answers. Then coming to the next category is 9 to 25, which is of 5 mark. So this has a word limit of approximately 100 words. Again, I would tell you, do not write lengthy answers. You'll just waste your time. Just be to the point and write in points. Do not write paragraphs. It also confuses, and the examiner is not very much interested in your paragraphs and all. Just be crisp and clear, give a point answer, underline it, and I'm sure that will catch the eye of the evaluator, and you will score good marks. Okay, now coming to 26 and 27 question. These will be of map work, dedicated only to map work. Now, map work have two types of questions. One is pointing. Another is, of course, identification, where the the place would already be marked for you, and you basically have to identify which place that is, right? So we have also prepared on our website. We have these kinds of videos. If you like, you can purchase the package and have a look at the for the whole syllabus. We have solved all the map work videos, and the link for that also will be shared to you after we finish the session. Okay, now most importantly, there will be an internal choice for question number 20, 22, 24, and 25. Yes, so you will be having options basically from 2 chapters, so you can attempt any of them. But I would suggest, don't leave out anything in your syllabus. Yes, I know you all know that there will be an internal choice from which all chapters, especially in history. But I would suggest, please do not leave anything in the syllabus, because what happens is sometimes you tend you cannot remember what exactly you had studied for a particular chapter. Then at least you can write the points for the second kind of a question, right? So do not miss anything from the syllabus. Just keep a backup for the same. Okay, now we come to the kinds of questions that are asked. Basically, your whole paper will be divided into 6 types of questions. The first one being remembering, which basically means to recall simply what you have studied in the textbook. You are recalling that thing and you have to write that in your paper. The second one is understanding. So these are types of questions. For example, if I take an example of your chapter, which is outcome of democracy, that chapter you have read in your it's kind of a, you must have felt that it's kind of a tricky kind of a chapter. But what they want is that you go through the chapter properly, and basically you are understanding what they are trying to say. So kind of question based on your understanding will be such that you have to write in your own understanding what you have read in the chapter. The third one is maps. Of course, we have discussed it earlier that it has to be either identification or basically pointing on the map. Then we come to the fourth type of question, which is value-based question. Now, what are value-based questions? Basically, these types of questions will ask for your perspective, right? As to what perception have you gathered from whatever you have learned in class or learned about the topic, right? The next one is interdisciplinary. Now, these kind of questions are basically linking your geography with economics maybe, and answering whatever you have understood from while you were learning these subjects. So this is kind of a mixture of the two, and then you have to make your own points and present your answer like that. Then the last one that we come to is HOTS. Now, this is very important, which these kinds of questions actually involve analysis, evaluation, comprehension, reasoning, and all of that. So basically, you have to think, apply your mind that this relates to this thing, and jot down points, and then you have to attempt a question which is based on HOTS. So basically, now we will discuss each topic, each question wise. We will be discussing some examples that I have for you, right? And also, we have got this 100 question and answers, copy of 100 question and answers that you can actually get for free if you sign up on Meritnation. I have a link right below my slide for you all. So you can go there, subscribe, and of course, you'll get your free copy of Meritnation top 100 question and solution. And I'm sure if you solve that, you will be able to crack your board exams properly. Okay, so the first type of question, if you all remember, we had discussed was remembering questions, right? So first question is, what are some of the challenges of political parties? Very easy. This is a very straightforward question. You have already studied in your book, and you have to just replicate it, whatever points you remember from the book. So of course, dynastic succession is first point. Money and muscle power, that we have read in the textbook. Then being a meaningful, a meaningful choice for the voters is what the political parties nowadays face, a major challenge. Coming to understanding question. Now, of course, it is something that what you have understood, you have to apply here when such question is asked. So describe the significance of civil disobedience movement in the freedom struggle of India. Now, we have read about civil disobedience movement. Now, what they are asking is the significance. What is the importance of civil disobedience movement? So you have to basically catch the words in the question and then apply your mind in answering these types of questions. So you can, write the points that the foreign cloth was boycotted, the liquor shops were picketed, peasants refused to pay revenue, then chowkidari taxes and village officials resigned. So all these important events, how actually civil disobedience movement came out to be so significant and important in India's struggle. So all that you have to include in that. Now, coming to the value-based questions. Now, I told you this is your own perspective. For example, if I tell you to think about chocolate, of course, you have your own perspective. Some of them like it. It's some like it with nuts. Some like it, you would say that this is sweet, this is brown in color, or whatever, right? So this is your own perspective, how you look at things. So if we take an example here, what values you can associate with conservation of flora and fauna of your country? So of course, looking at flora and fauna, we have sustainability, balance of nature, ethical responsibility, and peaceful coexistence is what we tend to have with the flora and fauna. Coming to the next one, which is HOTS question, right? So HOTS is basically something that you have to comprehend, evaluate, and etc. etc. So if we come to this question, which is Kshitij owns a farm in Madhya Pradesh. He wishes to cultivate either maize or tea. He shall cultivate which crop out of these, to keeping in mind conditions required for their growth. Now, first catchy thing in this question is, of course, Madhya Pradesh, right? The first thing that you caught your eye on is the state in which he wants to grow. The second thing is that he wants to grow maize or tea. Now, of course, you will think back and recall from whatever you have studied, analyze what all requirements are there for maize, for tea, and then see that which one is suitable for growing in a climate like Madhya Pradesh, right? So, of course, suitable conditions required for the growth of maize is what matches with the climatic conditions in Madhya Pradesh, isn't it? Okay, so I have a question here. I'll just come back after explaining this slide and this question. So basically, you have to think about, these kinds of questions, these HOTS questions. These are just based on what you have studied. So don't panic while answering these questions. You just have to apply your mind, right? And I'm sure you will be able to solve them, right? So don't panic like that. Next is interdisciplinary questions. So, as I discussed with you, it is basically sometimes, combining your two kinds of subjects. Like here, I have an example for you which says the economic strength of a country is measured by the development of manufacturing industries. Now, here they're also asking about the economics of the country and also talking about the manufacturing industries, right? So basically a combination of geography and economics, you can say. So here also in points, if you see that I've talked about that how manufacturing sector help in modernizing agriculture, which the population of our country is very much dependent upon. But also the heavy dependence on of the people on agricultural income by providing them jobs in the secondary and the tertiary sector. Now you would think, how did this point come in geography? So that is what interdisciplinary question is. You have to relate to all these things when you read the question, what all goes in your mind about economic strength, about manufacturing industries. So this is basically something you have studied in economics, right? So here you have to combine all the points, whatever has come to you, and write it down as your answer. Okay, so first of all, let me take up the question that the students have posted. So basically, it is, will questions only come from NCRT or from other references books also? Of course, it'll see the questions will be twisted and turned, right? So it's not just from the back of your NCRT books. This is not what the standard of 10 class is. I'm sure you have read much more than just the textbook, and you can relate things to your surroundings to answer questions. So it's not just going to be from the back of your NCRT. Of course, it can be anything just twisted and molded in their own language, but of course you would have studied. So if you get a question which is very different, just relax, sit down, think about it, and I'm sure you will be able to answer that. The next question is, should we read the colored boxes given in the chapter? Yes, of course, they are also important. So going thoroughly through your book from page 1 to the end of the page, it's very important. It's very, very important to, of course, go through these types of questions. You might be asked a 1-marker question from that box. You never know. So don't leave anything. Just be prepared for any kind of question that is coming. It won't be out of syllabus, of course. It will, of course, be what you have studied in your book, and you have to apply your mind to answer that type of question. All right? Okay, so let's go ahead and come to the map-based question. So basically, this question is, locate and label the place in the given outline political map of India. So Jallianwala Bagh massacre on 13th April 1990. So if a question is asked like that, what will you do? Of course, you will recall in your mind Jallianwala Bagh massacre, 13th of April. Where did it happen? Of course, you will get the answer. So that is Amritsar. And where is Amritsar? In Punjab. And of course, the particular kind of, the place it is there, you have to practice. So I would request you all to practice map very thoroughly and very well. Even the labeling should be very clean, neat, and the map should be labeled properly. You should make index. If you are asked, for example, you're asked for marking the states which grow tea. So of course you have to make an index. That is very important. Otherwise your marks will be, of course, deducted. So don't let that happen. So go through the map work very carefully. Remember the points. If I'm talking about Amritsar, for example, and I have to remember or recall where Amritsar is, so probably you have to, of course we know it is in Punjab, then you can actually remember that it's just adjacent to this curve that is there on the borderline between Pakistan and Punjab. So if you keep in mind these small points, then I'm sure it will be very helpful for you all to solve the map work question. I have another question for me. So it says, is SST just mugging up? Not at all. Not at all. All the hot questions, all the understanding questions, all these are asked not no, answer to all this is not just whatever you have mugged up. Of course you have to apply your understanding. I'll take an example of course, the most famous chapter about understanding, which is outcome of democracy. So you have to understand what they are trying to say, what the concept is, right? So you have to basically apply your mind and answer. No question will be asked which will have to reflect your mugging up. It will be just very general. And of course I would suggest that if you're explaining something in your answer, please include examples that are not there in the textbook, right? So please try to connect with your environment or your surroundings to give examples. That will be very helpful. You should use pen or pencil. Please use a pencil. If you are doing any kind of map work, because then the pen ink might spoil all the marking that you have done. So even if you are doing it, you have to do it with the pencil. So if you are doing it with pencil and you have to mark different states, then please use different kind of patterns. So let me show. For example, if you have to mark places where tea grows, so first of all what comes to my mind is Assam. So probably I'll use the slant lines. Then of course Kerala, so I'll mark it here as well, right? So in the index I will be using the slant lines and saying states where tea is produced. Now, if on the same map you are asked to mark a state where maize grows, as we had already studied in the example. So if it is Madhya Pradesh, then probably I'll mark it with circles, right? And in the index I will make the same. All right, and then label it properly, saying maize is produced, right? So this is why I was telling you that making the index is very important, right? So yes, so this is how you have to go about the map based questions, right? Okay, so I have another question which says how to memorize dates. It's going hard to remember dates of nationalism in India. The only and the best way that we have also faced is to make a flowchart of the chronology of events that have happened. That is the only solution that you can do. So just keep revising, writing it down in a probably while you're revising, then you don't have to mug up everything. It should be on your tips, to write the date, to write the event that happened, and your problem will be solved like that. All right, so that is the only solution that you can do for remembering the dates. Remember the chronology of events related with the events. Okay, so this was it. So we discussed all the types of questions that will be coming in your board exam. So I mean, if you want to practice more of these, the types of questions that will be coming in your board exam, so you can get a free copy of your Meritnation top 100 question and answers by just simply subscribing to the Meritnation. Signing up at the meritnation.com /FB live. And that will help you, and if you solve those questions, it will of course help you in cracking your board exams, right? So now let's come to how to actually be smart enough to solve or study for your exams, right? So most importantly, solving your previous year question paper is very important. So after this session is over, I will be sharing with you the sample papers that CBSE has provided. So the link will guide you to the page where the sample paper has been provided by the CBSE, and I will also be providing you with the link which will guide you to our Meritnation website, where the solutions have been there. But I would say that attempt it yourself, and you can of course cross check it on our Meritnation website. Okay, so previous year question paper is very important. Okay, so I have another question. What is the difference between identification of maps or location of map? Okay, so for that, I need to come back to the last slide. Okay, so for identification, it's basically, okay, so for example, I had the question paper would say, okay, just a second, let me. Okay, so yes. So for example, in your exam, there is I'm taking a very simple example. All right. So for example, this point is already marked. All right. And the question for map identification is the capital of India. Right? So you need to identify which place is this, right? Which place is this? Where is it? I mean, where it is marked, right? So here, of course, you will identify that it is marked here, and the answer is Delhi, right? Now, marking, locations on the map is what I had explained to you earlier. If you are asked a question to mark 2 states where tea is produced, then you will be marking these states, right? So you will be doing it on your own, right? So clear to you, I hope, that what identification is and what marking on the map means. So these 2 types of questions will be asked to you, right? Okay, another question which says how to learn long answers in social studies. Of course, I understand that there are long type of questions that are asked in long answers that you have to mug up for the 5-marker questions. But as I told you, please do not perceive it to be a very long paragraphs that you have to write. You have to be crisp and clear and write points. Right? Now, how to remember these points? Of course, you have to make your notes, make clear notes as to what all are included in a kind of a topic that might be asked for a 5 marker question. So this is how you can recall, remember things during your exam. If you have made notes, if you have made proper notes, then only you can recall things, because then you can remember also what you had written. And if you keep revising while writing, that will also help you in remembering long answers. Okay, another question. Will the paper be basic one or highly difficult? Now that depends on your preparation, isn't it? So of course it will be very it won't be very tough. It will be, everything will be from whatever you have studied in your book, nothing out of syllabus. So do not panic about how difficult it is going to be or how easy it's going to be. It just depends on how well prepared you are. So be prepared. Do not panic, or do not worry about these things. Just be prepared by yourself, give your 100%. Be satisfied that yes, this is the point that I have reached, where I am fully prepared for my exam. So don't worry about what is going to happen. It's going to be really easy, and nothing will be asked which is something that you haven't studied till now. All right. How to study history? Same thing as I was telling you earlier. Also make chronological charts, right? That is how you can remember the dates. Do write the points that are included in long, that might get included into in the long answers that might be asked from some of the topics that are there for some of the topics like civil disobedience movement and all, that are very important and can be asked as long answer questions, right? So basically you have to be preparing your notes. You have to be ready with the answers like that in points. And of course, for history, you have to have the chronology ready with you. Does previous year question paper match anytime? No, it doesn't. Well, it depends on your luck, but it doesn't really. Some questions might be similar. I'm not even saying same, but similar. But do not just depend on the previous year question papers. I'm telling you or recommending you to solve previous year question papers so that you know how well prepared you are. And of course, match the time within which you have to be prepared to finish off the paper. So timing yourself is very important. And of course, to know how well prepared you are is very important to solve the previous year question papers. All right, so let's continue for the time being with the smart study methods that I was telling you to crack your exam, to study well in your exam time. So, sample paper, as I was discussing, are important to know the marking scheme, to know the weightage, to know how well prepared you are, and of course, to time yourself while solving the papers, right? So keeping a track of time while solving the paper is very important, so that you do not, if you are liking a question, you do not keep writing all about it. You have to be crisp and clear, and attempt a 3-marker question like a 3-marker question. Give 3 points, and that's it. So explain it in not more than 80 words, as I had discussed earlier. Okay. Now, coming to some other, methods to how to attempt during your exam. First read the questions thoroughly, right? So you have to be very, very, careful while you read the question. Don't be in a hurry to just looking at the question that, okay, I know the answer. That is not the way of attempting your paper. You have to read the question very, very carefully before starting your answer. Now, secondly, mark those questions about which you feel more confident, and you know all the points properly, right? So that is very important. While you are, spend 5 minutes before, writing down anything. Spend 5 minutes, cool yourself, go through the paper, go through the question paper, mark the questions that you're very confident about, jot down small points in your own, code word or whatever small word would do. Jot down those points, and so that you can remember then there, at the time when you are attempting the question, so that you can remember at that time what exactly you have to write at that time. Then jot down the points that come to your mind, as I told you also. And of course, note the time and start attempting question one by one, right? Of course, I will give you another tip, that do not just attempt questions which are not in a sequence. If you're starting from 5 marker question, then please, go in the descending order. Or if you're starting from the 1 marker question, go in the, go in that order. But do not attempt like third question you're attempting, then you're going to 27, then you're going to 25th. Not like that, right? So it becomes very difficult for the evaluator also to check your paper at that time, and you might lose marks because of that, right? Okay, so I have some questions here. um, Briefly explain resource planning. Resource planning is basically what you have studied in geography, that how resources are scattered. For example, in India, how resources are scattered in different states, right? For example, there is plenty of water in Arunachal Pradesh. There is no water in Rajasthan. There are so many coal mines that are there in Chhattisgarh, but there are none in Delhi. So all these resources in India are actually scattered throughout the country. So planning it like that, uh, actually knowing how much resource is available at what place, knowing how to use these resources so that everybody is benefited out of it, and also keeping in mind what kind of quantity these resources are available in, so that they can be actually managed properly to keep it in for future, right? So resource planning is important for actually using it sustainably and keeping it for future generation as well. Resource planning is also important because the resources are scattered in a way in India, in a country like India, where everybody needs to be catered to, right? So resource needs to reach to every single state, and that is how the planning should be done. All the major questions we will be discussing, don't worry on that, we will be discussing in tomorrow's session and day after as well. So today I'm taking on general queries with you and trying to explain to you how to go about your social science. Okay, so which one preferable answers as points or okay? So basically, I think you're trying to ask that we should answer in points or paragraphs. I'm sorry. So I think you should be answering in points, and of course giving an explanation with that. Not a very long explanation, but of course giving a crisp answer. Do not keep writing paragraphs and paragraphs, as I've already told you the exact word limits that the CBSE has asked for. So do not waste your time writing long sentences. Just your points underlined properly with a little bit of explanation. Okay, so Vijay Vardhan Reddy has asked that till last year, if okay, still the last point, maybe if I don't know the answer, I used to write some or other story and used to top in social. This time would be the same. No, it's, I'm sure it would be just, it would have been just your luck that you writing something or the other would do. But of course, relating to anything, any point that relates to the kind of question that you're not able to attempt, any example that is coming in your mind, of course, that you can write it down, and of course you will be given marks for that. But it should be relevant to the answer, the question that is asked to you. So do not write anything but something relevant, example, definition, explanation in your own words, right? But do not write whatever comes to your mind. Okay, so while you are, attempting your exam, so you have to be, most importantly, keep calm. Do not get nervous. Do not panic by looking at the question paper. There is nothing that you haven't studied before. So just keep calm, relax, be positive, and I'm sure you will be able to crack all the questions, right? Okay, so in the sessions that would follow, after tomorrow and day after, so we will be actually discussing some of the important questions and answers with you guys, and that will help, I'm sure, with you all to crack down your social science paper. So, any more questions you want to ask? Okay, so yes, we have another question. So, how many points to write in 3 marks question and 5 mark question? So, in a 3 marker question, you can probably write 3 points. It would be good for you to write 3 points, of course, with a little bit of introduction to what you are going to give as points. And in a 5 marker question, of course, write 5 marks with explanation of each point, and that will be sufficient for you to attempt these kind of questions. All right, so let's hope to see you guys and meet you guys tomorrow, and we will be discussing, do log in and sign up for Meritnation live on Facebook. We will be discussing some important questions with you, and you can ask your queries as well at that time. And to get a free copy of your Meritnation top 100 questions and solutions, you can sign up with meritnation.com/FB live. The link is given to you, and whatever I've discussed, the important topics, the map work video, the solutions for the CBSE sample papers are all available on our website, and the link will be provided after we finish this session today. So see you guys tomorrow. Okay, so I have another question. Will they accept if I write exactly as in marking scheme? Right as in the points, if you mean by that, yes, of course you have to write accordingly. If you write 3 points for a 5 marker question, then I'm sure that will not be accepted and your marks will be cut on that. So keep a check of that. Do write, do keep a check as to what marks the question carries and write accordingly your answer. Okay, so yes, we will be meeting tomorrow and see you guys tomorrow as well. Do log in, do have conversation with us. Feel free to whatever you want to ask. We will be there to help you out. Go check out the links also, and please sign up for our Meritnation page. Thank you for today. See you guys.